Okay, so this video is going to be short and sweet, but it's literally getting good at shit and a process around that. So, getting good at shit is like, uh, really like, what I mean by this is how do you get from point A to point B as quickly as possible? And this could mean anything, right? Say you're trying to hire a CFO in your business. Um, you're trying to create a VSL that scales. You're trying to bring a new offer to market. You've never, and let's assume you've never done any of these things before and you're not competent in them. Um, the shit way is to fluff around, try and figure it out yourself, and spend, wasting hours, days, months, years. The better way is simply by copying other people who have already solved this problem, um, are already doing it much, much better than you, um, and have already figured out all of the fuck ups that you're eventually going to encounter. So first part of it is acknowledging you suck. Just acknowledge. Doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean you know this is probably worded incorrectly. It doesn't actually mean you suck personally. You want to separate your results from yourself, and just acknowledge you're actually bad at this. Right? I've never hired a CFO. I'm bad at hiring a CFO. I wouldn't know the fucking first thing about hiring a CFO or a C or like a CEO, for example. I've never done that before. The next step would be like, if you don't actually acknowledge this from the start, you're kind of doomed to fail. Next step is find and reverse engineer best practice. What I mean by this is go out and actually reverse engineer. Go and look at the companies who are profitable, successful, and have had long-standing CFOs. Same with the CEO if you wanted to hire a CEO. Same with if you wanted to write a VSL, go and look at companies that have long-standing VSLs and reverse engineer them, break it down. Now, it's going to be harder to reverse engineer a CFO position, but maybe you can snoop on the CFO's LinkedIn. Maybe you can actually reach out to that person directly. Maybe you can reach out to the founder or whoever runs the company and ask them, which brings them to my next point. Ask yourself, who do I know who's good at this? Pay them for their time. Go and find 2 to 3 people. Triangulate. The really cool thing about actually eating shit for a couple of years and getting competent in a skill is that you're now of value to people, right? You can then use that to actually create a bit of social presence and clout within your industry and use that clout and social presence to build a network of people. This network of people can then introduce you to the next layer of people who have solved all the problems that you already want to go and solve. And then it's as simple as going to that person, paying them for their time, getting all the information and extracting that out of them, and then implementing and executing. And then bonus step is after execution, if you go back to original person at step 3, and get feedback, right? And that's like really a process of how do we get from point A to point B as quickly as possible. Super short video, but if there's something that I've learned in, it's been 3 years since I've started entrepreneurial journey, and about a year and a half, close to 2 years of doing it full time, is that you're not going to get hours and time back, and there's no medal for putting in the most hours. The market doesn't care if you work the hardest. It's about getting from point A to point B as quickly as possible, and the market doesn't care if you innovate. Sorry, that's incorrect. The market does care if you innovate, but you have to innovate well. The market doesn't care if you have a new novel solution that is actually 10% worse than what's already out there. So yeah, I would highly recommend going to this framework. And the best part of this framework is once you start getting competent, you add your own source. Add your own source. It should only be a 4 to 5% variance of what is already best practice in the market. And you see this all the time. This is what companies are doing. Tesla did this. each new model, successive model of car. They're not reinventing the wheel and going back. It's an iterative process on the previous model. And this is how you basically do it and get from pretty bad at something to competent really quickly.